die sameroeper van vandag se geleentheid, wat is vandag bereik?
Vandag is bereik dat baie van die insette wat gelewer is uit die industrie uit, het voorstelle gekom wat ons aan kan werk en wat ons weer met nuwe aksieplanne kan vorentoe kan implementeer om te probeer om die krisis rondom back and closure te kan uitwis.
Is there a different way to approach biosecurity and traceability compared for small farmers compared to commercial farmers?
Certainly that would be a point to look at the social structures. There are already systems in communities where people gather together and you are able to connect with the farmers rather than bringing in trainings or workshops, because the clientele is so big. If we are looking at more than 6 million people, how do you engage them in small training groups of 10, 20 or so forth? The word goes on very slowly, but rather go into the communities and use the existing structures. Immersion into the social structures would bring opportunity for integration and then sharing information on biosecurity with regard to livestock management. Livestock are very critical for the small producers, and certainly they would give ear and would like to apply or to utilize the opportunities or knowledge that they have been given to take care of their assets. So I would suggest social engagement through existing structures in communities would be the fastest or best method to engage.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, Doctor, given this new outbreak, what do you think is the key factor that is needed for South Africa to get its FMD free status back from the OIE, and how long can that realistically take?
One has to realize that South Africa lost its free status in 2019 following the outbreaks that occurred outside of in the free zone of the country. And since then, there's been a number of outbreaks, and it will be important that South Africa controls, stops the spread of the infection, and then can start the process of application for a free status. And this recent outbreak is an unfortunate situation because it's giving the indication that the disease is still spreading. And the process for freedom should start once the spread of the infection has been prevented. And the key problem that has occurred with the spread is an indication that movement control is still a challenge. As long as we don't address the problem of movement of animals from infected to non-infected area, we will struggle to address the problem. And that, in my view, is the most critical element that I think even the Director of Veterinary Service and the whole community that was meeting today understands that is the first point to start. We need really to be in a position to control the movement of animals from infected to non-infected area.
And then, Doctor, someone during the proceedings, someone recommend or asked what the chances are for something like a lockdown. Would that effectively work? I mean, within COVID stuff, it did definitely have an impact in its spreadability. Would it not be an option?
I think the comparison with COVID may not be really appropriate in this case, because COVID, I think it was a surprise disease that nobody had experienced before. Everybody was trying to come up with measures, but foot and mouth is a well-known disease. It's has occurred and still occur in many parts of the world, and the OIE had come up with very clear guidelines which are based on the information from infected country, and it's updated continuously based on the new information. So the measures that can be put in place are quite clearly defined and can be followed. And most of them also, the same measures are included in our regulation in the country. So the guidelines for preventing the spread are quite clearly defined, and we need just to implement them. And we should be able to start seeing that we control first the spread, and we stop the infection, and then we start embarking on eradication.
From a a veterinary perspective, what impact will this FMD have on import and exports of livestock?
I think the biggest impact is on export of livestock and livestock products, because having lost the status, it will be difficult for South Africa to trade, to export livestock, live animals and animal products. So that is the biggest impact, which is already being felt by the industry. There are, however, many ways, because the OIE's rules are put in place not to punish country, but to help them to continue to trade when possible. There are a number of mechanisms that are put in place and measures that allow country to continue to trade. One of them is, for example, what is called commodity-based trade, whereby it's possible to export even meat, deboned meat that doesn't have lymph nodes or bones which are known to carry the virus, and the meat can be exported when it's treated, it's slaughtered properly. So some of those measures allow country to still continue to export even though they are infected. Same for the wool. There are ways of treating the wool to allow the export. But in many cases also it depends on the partner that is importing. You have to have a good relation with the trading partner, and also they would want to do a risk assessment. After a risk assessment, if they feel that there is no risk, they can still import. But obviously the best option is to regain the free status. Is to regain the free status of the country.
Watter rol gaan voerkrale spesifiek speel om verdere uitbraak te bestuur?
Okay, so I think the most important thing is that we've seen in the past that foot and mouth disease has been in when there was an outbreak of foot and mouth disease, it ended up in a feedlot. So we understand that each and every outbreak ends up within a feedlot. It's important to us that obviously we keep it out. But secondly, what we buy, we need to protect ourselves from what we get in. What we've done in the past is, and some of the bigger feedlots have now stopped buying cattle overall. Some of them are only buying from reputable or known sellers of cattle, but most of them are totally ignoring those situations or places where they cannot identify or do not know whether or not where the cattle comes from. I think one of the biggest issues we had today was specifically identified by Mr. Adekar. He said he might trust the farmer that he buys from, but he do not necessarily trust or know the neighbor of that specific farmer. So what we're going to do in feedlots is so that we need to protect ourselves as well, and I think we're going to stand a little bit back from what's happening within the total industry, but we cannot do it forever. I mean, obviously we need to keep on buying cattle in, taking them in. What is also important, I think, from a feedlot perspective, we're currently going into the rural areas, speaking to farmers who do not necessarily have access to information with regards to FMD, and assist them with some information, training them, and giving the necessary tools to adhere to the rules, biosecurity rules, and especially delivering good quality, healthy animals to our fields.
Okay, Doctor, after today, do you see everybody working together in one team towards the same end?
It's difficult to say everyone, but from this morning's discussions, it's going to be the majority of people. I am hopeful that at least 80-90% of industry is aiming towards the same goal, which is eventually attaining an FMD free status. So yes.